nominate Honorable Tajuddin Abbas.
I so second.
I rise to humbly accept the nomination.
Is hereby declared the winner and returned elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
The financial stability of its citizens has been significantly compromised, limiting compensation to 5 million naira only.
House worries over the crisis at Heritage Bank and calls on CBN to institute a prop.
The rate at which remains equivalent the Kaduna-Abuja red line has become unnecessarily alarming.
And lawmakers set to investigate recurring incidents of train derailment along the Kaduna-Abuja route. A warm welcome to this edition of House Ticket, your favorite parliamentary program, bringing you updates from plenary at the House of Representatives. I am Dehelia Mamza, your regular anchor. The House embarked on the annual Eid-El Kabir Sallah break on Tuesday, 11th June 2024 to enable lawmakers celebrate Sallah with their families as well as constituents. The lawmakers sat in plenary for only that day before adjourning to resume on Tuesday, 2nd July 2024. On this package, therefore, we will bring you matters that came up for discussion on that day. It included calls to investigate the Heritage Bank crisis, the need to investigate the attack of the Kaduna-Abuja rail route, amongst others. House Ticket also contains a report of a one-day public hearing organized by the House Committee on Power on Reviewing Electricity Tariff in the power sector. All of these and more coming up after the break. Do stay tuned.
Hi, about that. The House will pay priority attention to participatory budgeting process and delivery, law reform, electoral reform, women's participation and inclusion in governance, among others.
Welcome back. As usual, our first segment will bring you highlights of activities of lawmakers during the week on the review. The report as compiled is presented from our studio.
Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues.
Earlier in the week, Representative Leke Joseph Abejide rose on a matter of privilege from a social media report that alleged huge sums of money are collected as salary and allowances by honorable members.
That I, a member of this house, collect basic salary of 2.5 per month, furniture allowance 7.5 million per month, newspaper allowance 1.2 million per month, wardrobe allowance 621,000 per month, recess allowance 248,000 per month, accommodation allowance 4.9 million per month, utility allowance 828,000 per month, personal assistant allowance 621,000 per month, and so on. And very interesting for you to know that this Adeola Fayeun does not reside in Nigeria, he's in UK.
Sure, you, the leadership will take up this matter. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Moving on to other events during Tuesday's plenary proceedings, the lawmaker debated a bill that came up for second reading. It was titled A Bill for an Act to Amend the Electoral Act 2022 and for related matters.
As it stands, the provisions of Section 51, subsection 2, 3, and 4 seems to deliberately target legitimate winners of elections instead of criminally minded individuals who connive with custodians of electoral materials to cancel votes. Even if it is presumed that the individual who added the votes are not known, certainly the winner of the election in that particular unit or his agents cannot be party to a deliberate act that would invalidate their votes. So, Speaker, honorable colleagues, most of the times, candidates target strongholds of their opponents, leveraging on the provision of this section to add 1 or 2 votes or more to discredit the outcomes of the elections in those polling units, to create disadvantage for the advantage for the losers, thus deducting 1 or 2 votes from the votes of all candidates across the political parties will not dramatically change the outcome of those electoral contests. Equally important, Mr. Speaker, is the need to punish the presiding officers who allow themselves to be used to perpetrate fraud and injustice. As custodians of electoral materials, this clause is needed for the purpose of deterrence.
Members contributed to the debate, weighing the merits and demerits of the bill.
Putting our electoral laws in the proper perspective to be in tandem with the global practice is what may likely save this country and put it on the right track.
I want to appreciate you and appreciate my brother Omar Flatter for bringing this amendment, and to urge my respected colleagues to support this amendment and pass it with the speed of light, because it will strengthen our democratic processes and procedure. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I think this is very apt. I'm worried at the provision or the proposition of asking or making a provision that the presiding officer be made to face criminal liability for cases of overvoting. And I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker, because it is not in all instances that overvoting as a result of the collusion of the presiding officer, and I stand to be corrected.
There is something we still need to look at, to tweak a little bit for us to get it right, because somebody can still commit this crime of overvoting, and by the amendment we are making, he will still be declared the winner, depending on the margin.
The bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on Electoral Matters. Still on bills, the House considered a bill for an act to establish National Safety Regulation Board and for related matters. The bill was sponsored by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, as well as Representative Abubakar Gumi, who presented the general principles of the bill.
This important bill, which seeks to establish a National Safety Regulatory Board, I believe is a bill that is timely. Nigeria having so many regulatory boards shows how the commitment of Nigeria to safety. In order to enhance synergy among agencies of government saddled with safety responsibilities in our environment, develop and review safety guidelines, code of practice, and setting of standards on all aspects of safety issues, as well as monitoring, evaluating, and viewing their implementation nationwide, and also prosecution of safety violators.
The bill got a yes vote, after which it was referred to the House Committee on Safety Standard Regulation for further legislative action.
The ayes have it.
For motions considered in the week under review, a matter of urgent public importance urging the House to investigate the Heritage Bank crisis and to protect the investors' interests was considered. It was moved by Representative Harris Okonkwo.
Some depositors allegedly entrusted significant sums amounting in billions of naira to Heritage Bank, representing their hard-earned savings and financial security. This realization underscores the magnitude of the financial losses and uncertainties they are now facing, highlighting the profound impact of the bank's failure on the lives and well-being of people. Concern that amidst the prevailing economic challenges in Nigeria, the financial stability of its citizens has been significantly compromised. Limiting compensation to 5 million naira only is deeply inadequate to alleviate the substantial losses experienced by depositors who have placed their trust in Heritage Bank, exacerbating their financial distress and uncertainty.
The motion was not subjected to a debate. The House adopted the prayers to urge the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation (NDIC) to conduct a thorough investigation into the matter, He further called on the House Committee on Banking Regulations as well as that on insurance matters to investigate and report back to the House within 2 weeks. The motion was voted on, adopted, and referred to the House Committee on Banking Regulations.
There is it.
Still on motions of urgent importance, the House voted on the need to investigate the attack on the Kaduna-Abuja rail route.
The rate at which remains equivalent the Kaduna-Abuja rail line has become unnecessarily alarming, with the most recent development which occurred on Wednesday, 5th day of June 2024, when the traveling from the Kaduna-Abuja drill at Asham stations, leaving many passengers stranded in the Federal Capital Territory, being the second as such unfortunate occurrence just within the last 2 weeks. This House recalled that on May 26, an Abuja-bound train on Sunday derailed along the Abuja-Kaduna route, leading to the passengers being stranded in the Jere area of Kaduna State. This House must stand to the occasions by investigating this repeated incident.
Representative Ajilo prayed the House to invite the Minister of Transportation to appear before the House and explain what measures are being taken to avert such a trend. The motion was referred to the House Committee on Land Transport.
There is it.
The House also considered the need to provide training and support for women in politics. The motion, which was on the order paper, stood in the name of Representative Blessing Chiyeru Amadi.
Despite progress in recent years, women remain significantly underrepresented in political and leadership positions globally and Nigeria in particular. Also worried that in Nigeria, women don't have equal opportunity and support to serve as political leaders, elected representatives, which is vital to Nigeria's democracy. Cognizant that to bring about any change in this disparity, it will require proactive measures to equip women with leadership skills, resources, and support needed to navigate the political landscape and effectively participate in decision-making processes.
The House reached the following resolution: urge the Ministry of Women Affairs to designate a department with adequate budgetary provision to help groom, train and support women in politics and encourage the inclusion of the role of women in political leadership in our secondary curriculum. Mandate the Committees on Women Affairs, Women in Parliament to liaise with the Ministry of Women Affairs and other relevant agencies to, as a matter of urgent public importance, constantly organize trainings and seminars for women interested in running for political offices, especially women in rural areas, with the understanding that politics starts from the grassroots. And also mandate the Committee on Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. The motion was voted on, adopted and referred to the House Committee on Women in Politics, Women Affairs as well as that on Legislative Compliance.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Another motion on the order paper was on the need to provide palliatives to victims of rainstorm disasters in Akoko Northeast, Northwest Federal Constituency of Ondo State.
On 2nd April 2024, a very heavy rainstorm swept through many communities across the entire constituency, causing significant damage and disruption to the affected areas. The House is worried that over 60,000 constituents were displaced in Ogbagi Akoko, Yin Akoko, Okeagbe Akoko, Ugbe Akoko, Ikare Akoko, causing widespread destruction and damage to homes, businesses, and public offices. The House is disturbed that the storm destroyed buildings while others had their roofs blown off, disrupting essential services like electricity and water supply, resulting in deplorable living conditions in affected communities.
The House then resolved to urge the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA to immediately send relief materials to the affected communities. Also urged the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC and the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation to provide palliatives to the affected communities both on short, medium and long-term basis. Mandate the Committee on Disaster Preparedness to ensure that the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA, Federal Road Maintenance Agency FEMA, distribute food and non-food materials to the affected communities, and also mandate the Committee on Poverty Alleviation to ensure compliance and report back to the House within 4 weeks for further legislative action. The motion was voted on, adopted and referred to the House Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness, NEMA, as well as that on legislative compliance.
Those in support of this motion say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, 13 bills were being presented for first reading. They include Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Tasir Olawale Raji, Federal University of Agriculture Kaba Kogi State Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Salman Idris, Federal University of Technology Badagry Lagos State Establishment Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative James Faleki, Industrial Training Fund Act Amendment Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Dolapo Enitam Badru and 5 others. Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 Alteration Bill 2024, sponsored by Representative Jafar Abubakar Magaji and 2 others.
You're still on to House Tickets, and before the break, we brought you a review of bills, motions and other activities that took place during plenary of last week at the House of Representatives. In the committee rooms, the joint committees of the House of Representatives on Power, Commerce, National Planning and Delegated Legislation held a one-day public hearing in order to find a common ground to resolve the crisis of over the 200% electricity price hike by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission in January 2024, which has pitched it against the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria. Speaker Abbas Tajuddin, who was represented by the Deputy Speaker, Right Honorable Benjamin Okeze Kalu, as well as the lead chairman of the joint committees, Representative Victor Nwokolo, stated the importance of the hearing and the reason for the intervention.
Today, Tuesday 11th of June 2024, I'm honored to welcome you all to this special public hearing convened by the House to discuss and address a matter of great concern, a matter of great importance that has stirred significant concern among our people, the people of Nigeria. The recent decision by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission to increase electricity tariff has sparked widespread discontent and apprehension across the nation. The rationale provided for this tariff hike, as outlined by the NEROC, is to address the industry's mounting debt and ensure the continued functioning of the power sector. However, it is evident that this move has not been well received by Nigerians, our citizens whom we represent. Numerous voices, including organized labor that I just mentioned now, and industries. Industry experts have voiced their strong opposition to this decision. It is not for the Parliament to keep quiet about this. It is for the Parliament to take a step forward.
The committee was set up pursuant to a resolution of the House of 29th April 2024 to look into the circumstances and rationale for the recent tariff announced by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Since the announcement, there have been a series of complaints about the misgivings on both the process and substance of regulatory actions of NEC. Many of the complaints relates to that of lack of consultation by the regulator as required by law before approving the increase. Also, many also said about the discrimination of categorizing houses into different banks.
Appearing before the committee was the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu. In his presentation, which was supported by the chairman of the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, NEC, Sanusi Garba, he explained the benefits of the increase by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission.
The increase in tariff was not targeted at making life difficult for Nigeria. The reverse is actually the case, to make sure that they enjoy a more stable electricity supply that is much more affordable. But because the increase is new to Nigerians, we are actually expressing our dissatisfaction about the increase in the tariff. But at the end of the day, when we look at the average cost of generating electricity in our homes, in our businesses, and in our industries, is actually cheaper with the increase in tariff than what we used to have.
Met has responsibility for the determination of tariffs, but then policy and legislation decides who pays the tariff. If we make a decision that tariff is 206 naira, the policy side, the executive side, and the legislation have the powers to make a budget and say Nigerians will not pay 206, they will pay 100 or 70 or whatever is deemed appropriate. I think it's also important to mention that in the law, there is a provision for Power Consumer Assistance Fund, whereby the vulnerable customers are subsidized.
Reacting to the presentation, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria highlighted the negative effects the over the 200% electricity hike has had on Nigerian manufacturers. The executive committee member of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, stated that over 300,000 companies have closed down with 380,000 jobs lost since the tariff hike.
We have a situation in the last 3.5 months where an industry is having about 36,000 workers. Right now they're only grumbling with 5,000 workers. And those 5,000 workers aging 18 to 45 are even likely to lose their jobs. And that spells doom, because that means insecurity coming along the way. We really need to look at a situation whereby we'll have to do the very best to work on insecurity, and manufacturing sector is one key area.
However, the committee frowned at the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) for not sending a representation, despite being at the forefront of the fight against the hike in electricity tariff in the country.
We are expected to see more than one. We wanted to see this house filled with members of the civil society organization who are out there pushing for the voice of the masses. In like manner, I expected that Nigerian Labour Congress, who was the first to take action on this issue, to be in the room. As has been observed by most respected colleagues and condemned by most respected colleagues, members of this committee, the chair, the leadership of the National Assembly condemns equally the inability of the Nigerian Labour Congress to attend this all-important public hearing.
This is the much we can take on the program for now. Let's hear from you regarding the workings of our elected representatives at the House of Representatives in the National Assembly through the feedback channels showing on your screen. Till I come your way again on House Tickets, do stay safe and many thanks for watching.